Hey everybody, hello. I'm Chase Jarvis. I'm sitting with my friend and co-collaborator, Jason Sutherland, who is a creative mojo boss of types over at REI. He and I just worked on the last campaign together. He's kind enough to spend his time down here talking to us, talking to you, and answering your questions. The questions that we're pulling from these iPads here came up in the blog post that I did on Monday, where I was soliciting questions, and on the previous Thursday. I think a lot of the people out there, they want both specific answers to specific questions from the campaign that we shot together, but also, and what I think is probably more valuable, are general questions about how you pick talent, what you do, where you source talent from, and what are the things that are in your head. So while I'm going to ask you, I think I'm going to start off with one of those questions. We'll go back and get some of the specifics, but I think an important thing that we were just chatting casually before this thing happened, before we turned the cameras on. You're going to get a wave of email and all this. So you're going to have billions of things are going to come pouring in, and how you don't want that to happen. So don't email Jason at REI. But you said something really telling, I thought, which is they don't need to find me. I'm looking out for them. I'm finding them. My eyes are peeled. So tell the world, or tell me in front of the world. Right. What do you mean by that?
Well, what I mean by that is, I'm constantly, I'm in the same stream everybody else is swimming in. I'm seeing, thousands of images, thousands of photographers. I'm looking at Flickr. I'm looking at people sending me stuff, yes and no, but I confess my email box goes like zip, and it's full, and I probably shouldn't admit this, but I haven't checked my voicemail in about 3 years. So I'm much more of a, I'll be rooting around and looking for new photographers and looking for who's like authentically creating images in different businesses or different sort of endeavors, and looking at who's out there. I don't know if you've seen 500 Photographers.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's
and
great,
every one of those things takes me down a little rabbit hole where I come out and go, whoa, I didn't know that person was shooting in this style. File it under, I might be able to use this in 2013 if they're still around doing it.
Right.
But there's just so many people pursuing either these visions of what they think photography is, and looking at that I'm out there all the time.
I love that. I think that's a great answer. And most of the people that I know that are in your shoes, they live in that space. They live in that space. And you said a word that I'm going to gravitate towards, and it's often overused, but I don't know a better word to put in its place. So I'm going to try and use it in a credible way here, and that is the A word: authenticity. And when you said that you're chasing talent that is out there authentically creating images, that to me that means that they're not necessarily looking to the left and the right and worrying about what their peers are doing, but that they are solely focused on making something that is inside of them that has to get out. Talk to me about that. You said that was your own word, authentically creating stuff.
People have problems with the word authentic and the concept of authenticity, but really it's what you see is what you get. And that's the best distillation of it. And what I'm, if I'm looking for somebody who knows, going to go shoot winter sports, I want somebody who has, 35 years of experience in winter sports and the environment.
How are you telling me a 35 years? I guess maybe I do. Not 35. Anyway,
it's,
that wasn't a stab at me, was it?
No,
okay,
not at all, dude. Not at all. I don't know how long you've been shooting, but you've been living it longer than you've been shooting it.
That's for sure.
And that's what's, that's what brings it across. When I want to have mountain biking, shot, I want somebody who knows it. I want a crew that can move with it, that can get to the right spots on the mountain quickly. And I think that comes across in images left and right. We get a little bit sort of, slayed on our Nordic imagery because none of us are awesome Nordic skiers. So this year in Telluride, we got the two heads of the Nordic centers in Telluride to represent a guy named Midnight and a woman named Jenny who used to run another Nordic camp there. and they killed it.
Yeah.
You know, when you have the experts who do what you're portraying, boom, done.
And that's honestly one of the things that gravitates me towards clients as well, is the brands that I like to shoot with, or to shoot for and work with and direct motion for.
Yeah.
They are the ones that have a legit story to tell, that they're committed to actually, like, working in this case with athletes that are actually super, super talented people.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't, and you take it out of the sports realm, it's just they're committed to, Red Bull's very committed to the things that they do. Nike, very committed to making the best, like, sports training products. I love that it's a two-way street, so you know.
And you know, you think about music, and you know, people want to shoot album covers, they want to shoot this, but when you know the vibe of a band, and you can, you know, you've lived that, you're coming from that space, you know, you can deliver that image much better. And I think, you know, looking through some of the questions that have come in and what people are interested in, it's like, how do I, you know, find a client, or how do I align, you know, my work is great, how do I align myself with a company to get work? And really, I think there's hard work to be done by photographers to find companies that mesh with who they are. And when you have that, it's a beautiful thing. And you'll have meetings where you're like, I love you, you love me, let's make beautiful things together.
Right.
Versus like, no, check out this picture, you know, check out this. And it becomes less about, you know, what shape is my portfolio, and more about, I get what you're trying to do as a company, and I can help you take it from here to here to here to here, and you develop just a beautiful relationship over time.
Yeah, and so the first one probably doesn't feel like that, but
Right.
the first time I stepped on set for REI, and especially with you, it was something different. There's a chemistry there that you knew this is like, we're vibing, and that is something that creates return customers for photographers out there, and I think better pictures for companies, because there's a relationship, not just a transaction.
Truly, truly. And this is a good story here, where the first time we met, I mean, I had been at REI for a long time. You had been shooting there for a couple of years. Mm-hmm. And we had a little meeting. I remember it was in a meeting we called Little Tahoma. And, you know, we were kind of spieling our spiel and step out of the shadows, and, you know, kind of, we're both sort of destroyers of, you know, how things have been done, and wanted to take it here. And you were like, where have you been?
I literally said those words to you in the meeting.
I know, and it was like, sort of got all blurry around us, and we're like, let's do beautiful things. And that's not to say there wasn't a whole bunch of great work ahead of that.
Right.
Those are all steps to getting to that point, and really, you know, where we kind of got in lockstep around what we're trying to do with photography and what we're trying to do with our brand. You understood that.
Very deeply, because I have been for my entire life committed to that sector of work and that sector of play. I mean, you know, that's how I spend free time a lot of time too. Let's go to the phones, shall we?
Let's take one.
Yeah. So I know you were taking a peek at these questions while you were sitting over there, and I was chatting with Mike and trying to get through as many questions as I could. There's some questions that you gravitated towards, like, we can dive into. I know there's a couple here. I think for the folks that don't know what a creative director's job is, that was one of the questions from Justin Rosenberger. It's like, what kind of knowledge does it take to be a creative director? What kind of training? And I'm going to preface your answer by saying, I get to work with guys like Jason and ladies like Jason. No, with men and women that are in Jason's role. For a living, basically, art directors and creative directors. And what I know about it is that you guys you have the vision of the company that you're representing. And what the specifics are, ladies and gentlemen, I turn it over to this guy. So talk about it for a second.
So, I mean, let me just address the title thing, so my boss, who is the actual creative director, doesn't fire me. You know, I play many different roles. I'm kind of agnostic on the title. I will play a creative director role on a specific project. I'll play an art director role, and sometimes I'm just managing a whole bunch of people and trying to get, you know, things lined up. So for
the creative brand manager or something
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
But you get to be 80s and CD on different
exactly.
projects.
And like having that kind of creative control on something, you know, really I'm working off of a brand definition and a strategy, and then I'm trying to make that visually represent itself in a form that connects with our customers and gets people hopefully into the outdoors. And once they get outdoors, they're like, hey, I need some good gear, and they tie back to REI. So, you know, I'm really, the role itself it's an awesome job. I mean, I love going to work every day. It's, you know, I got another buddy here who's an art director, Brian Bentine out there. What up?
What's up, BB?
And Bill Wardlow, who's also on my team, is back working. You know, we put a tremendous.
Somebody has to be back.
Someone has to be there. Thank you, Bill. And we put a ton of work into planning to say, okay, you know, this is the strategy. Here's some ideas we have. Which ones align nicely? Which ones, you know, how are we going to shoot that? What location should we have? What type of talent? Who are we looking to hit? And we develop all this, distill it down into hopefully a good plan, you know, figure out who could help us achieve this, you know, through photography or through words or through, you know, a video project or something like that. And then we're on set to help make it happen, help guide it. But once we get on set, it becomes like the mind meld between, you know, the photographer and the art director, and then the person who should be here, which is the producer.
Right.
You know, so that's
the actualizer of the people who line up the people. And can we just give a shout out to a second for the people who do that?
Yeah.
Like right over there, it's Kate and Megan, and back home, it's Connie.
Back home, it's Connie Benson, and you know, without the producer, we'd be sunk. When we look at each other and go, dude, we're not getting the weather we need to extend this. You know, we're not the one who's saying, okay, it's going to cost this much, and I need to change 25 plane tickets overnight.
I know.
And,
Instantly.
And that's Connie Benson. And Connie Benson is also, I mean, your producer is your lifeblood. It's your link. Listen to this, because Connie Benson, who, you know, will come up with an idea, will say, oh man, you know what, these trees are too short, you know, can you get smaller talent to make it, you know, all look bigger? And she'll be like, yes, I can. And then she'll say, it's going to cost this much, and she'll deliver it. Or we'll say, I mean, she just comes with solutions.
And I think there's a certain brand or breed of people that fit that role. Like Kate on our side of things is the same way. Like they tend to be people that are saying, yes, I can make that happen. They're very, very determined. They're very organized, and they make our lives possible. Really.
Yes.
And the project doesn't happen if it's just you and me in a room running around.
Dude, it's a great idea.
It's fun.
And then we walk out and we're like, well, that was fun. I don't know, you want to go for a drink? And I think that's, I don't know about you.
Yep.
I function pretty well at this level. Mm-hmm. And when it gets down to here, I do okay. But when it gets down to like checking it off, making it happen, showing up at the right hotel or the right city, not so good. I mean, I've actually, with Connie, I've said, I showed up at the wrong hotel when we did a shoot in Utah because I assumed we were at the same one we were at the last time. And, you know, I mean, I'm checking my flight 10 minutes before I'm going on it. So producers are good.
Producers are great. So that's, your role as a creative director. That's what role producers play in our lives.
Segue there.
Yeah, it's a segue. Is there something specific? I'm just looking at a sea of questions. And this is a great one from Sarah Huntley. I think this is interesting. Do you find it's common for a creative director to first have started as a photographer or as a graphic designer or in the creative pursuits themselves?
That one struck me interesting too, because I actually come to this gig as sort of a generalist. I mean, I actually have done freelance photography when I first moved out here. I've done a lot of design work. But I also have a very strong writing background. I mean, at REI, I spent many years in the copy teams and the product information teams and then working online. And I think what that does is gives me a sort of holistic view on things. I think you'll have a lot of creative directors who come from a strictly design background, but the new world order with tweets, Facebook posts, with, you know, other social media ventures, with just the way people are interacting with media, you need to look at the whole picture.
Absolutely. And I think that's a great segue, if I will, for a second. If anyone's interested in following along what REI is doing, it's a really progressive company that is, as I feel like, engaging their customers in a cool way. So the media folks, like, you'll get to see how you guys are integrating media and music and your social channels with your real world channels at the store level. So you guys are at REI on Twitter, just at REI, I think.
I believe so.
I think so.
Hopefully, Brian. See, it's one of those details that I know.
And it's facebook.com/REI.
Yeah.
So for those folks that want to pay attention.
And you can also just go through the front door, rei.com, and then it kind of disperses you nicely.
Beautiful. So I like you spoke of this New World Order.
Yeah.
Talk about that for a second, because you mentioned yourself as a generalist, and so you have a background in creativity, and then you're applying this skill set to hire people like me to do hopefully good work. Go on about this generalist idea, because I was told my whole career, like, you have to be the best photographer who shoots blue people on a white background in spring in Paris. And I have made a career out of
that work,
given
by the
the double. Thank you very much. It's hanging at MoMA now. No, I give the double bird to that whole program only because I felt the world changing. I felt in here part of why I am a creative person is because I like to be all over the place. Now, it's definitely not advisable probably from a strict business sense, but it is changing. The world is changing, and earlier I was taking questions about photo and video. If I didn't have both of those, I would hurt inside. And one, I can tell you, is driving me to excel at the other. The more video I shoot, the more I really appreciate a beautifully framed image. And the more video I shoot, I start to say, oh wow, I could be lazy in video and shoot this in like 5 seconds, versus in a still, I have to have it all in that one box.
Yeah.
So how does that New World Order apply in your world, and if there's any advice you could pass along to the folks at home? Yeah,
see, and that's a scary one. I'm glad to hear you mention the double bird, not because I'm a huge fan of the double bird, but also because I feel like that sort of division needs to be erased around, stills to video, because if you think about how you consume media, and all the people out there consume media, you're blending from stills to video to written word to back to 140 character bursts of information. And I really think that if you want to be a photographer, that's great. If you want to communicate visually, that's a different thing. And that's sort of where the commercial market is now, where you need to be able to deliver more than just a still, but you have to kill the stills in a great way. And then you have to transition to telling, it really goes to telling a story. And I have like this really short list of creative principles. One is anchor it in authenticity. 2 is tell stories so that people actually get engaged in it.
Isn't it all about a story?
It is. It is.
Like a 30-second spot, it's all about a story.
It's
a picture
mini
is
story.
all about a story.
Yeah.
A blog post is a story.
Yeah.
A tweet is a story.
Here's where, the still picture, I think, can tell a really good story in just a quick hit. And it can be more conceptual, it can be sort of more inspirational, because you and I both know this. As soon as you start shooting video, if you're going to portray yourself out on the North China Seas, you have to be on those seas.
That's true.
If you're going to make it look big, it has to be huge. And a still picture, you can kind of go, okay, this is the concept. Let's figure out how to deliver this with what we have. So I would encourage people to think, if you can tell the story beautifully with stills, why not?
Yep.
If you need video to tell that story, that's awesome.
Yeah,
too.
they're different media.
Yeah.
And they serve different functions. At least in my mind, they serve different functions. Sometimes one is a heck of a lot more effective than the other, given the context of where it's going to appear. And one of the things that I like about this multidisciplinary conversation that we're having right now, because it's not just multiply many disciplines. It's actually a change in thinking about consuming media, about delivering media, and when you think about what kind of creative person you want to be, think about how your skill set matches up with what's in your soul. Like, are you a storyteller? Because in my mind, that is the underpinning for all of the things that we're talking about here. And so if you're a writer, you probably, if you want to experience some photo or video, go do it. But if at your core you're a writer, stick with what you're a core at, what you're passionate about, what you're gonna give a shiza about.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna take a question from David Killingbeck, if I may, and you can search for another question while I'm futzing my way through this here. David asks, hey Chase, can you tell us about some of your most difficult experiences working with 80s CDs and what you've learned from those experiences and the best way to not get into those situations in the first place? And then Jason, what you could add to that perspective would really be appreciated too. My answer is going to be pretty brief on that one. I work very hard to mind meld with my boss on any particular job, with the creative director, the art director. The more that we can connect in and around the project, I mean, personally it's nice, but especially around the creativity and around the project, I feel like that right there is a bond that beats all of the other things that come up during the course of a photo shoot. Like if we're connected on the project, the fact that I like mustard and she likes ketchup, or that I like chocolate, you like vanilla, they become less consequential and therefore fewer things crop up. The one, if I'm going to answer specifically David's question as best I can and as direct as I can, the most challenging moments are for when I feel in my bones that what I'm framing up in the camera or on the monitor is not the image that we should be taking, or not the shot, the motion picture that we should be creating. And I have to share that because that's something that I feel convicted and I feel like people hire me because I'm not afraid to say. Now I'm also open to like, hey, let's shoot this thing. I'm telling you right now, in your ear, I don't believe this is the one. I think we've got all the shots here, we've got everybody lined up, like let's execute here, but I don't believe this one in my soul. We'll find out in the edit. Let's go out and capture it, but I'm looking forward to the next take already. So I try and be very diplomatic about it. But what can you add to this, like the relationship between a CD and AD and the creative on set?
That, you know what, fortunately there's a big overlap there, because I think what makes it work is when you're willing to give and take and when you talk about the issues as they arise. Where it goes wrong is if a photographer or an art director, for that matter, is stubborn, and you kind of you're not listening to each other's points, and you're like, no, we're shooting it this way because that's what it says on this little plan, or I'm not really making this work. You know, you need to give 100% on trying to make that idea work, and then say, okay, now check it out. Fortunately, we work in a digital world where you can say, see that? Not so good, but what if I did this?
Right.
And I think it's really important for photographers to know how to diplomatically say what you just said, which is, I don't think, based on my years of experience with these fine cameras, these lenses, this knowledge I have to visually represent an idea, that this isn't the best way to do it. But there's an obligation at that point to come forward with a solution.
Yep.
But
boom,
if we did this, it'd be awesome.
Yeah, no, and I think solution that you hit the nail on the head, I think.
And that's going to come from not a magic lens, but understanding the concept and the idea and the emotion and the inspiration that the image is trying to convey.
For those people who either weren't paying attention last week or who may need a refresher, we've got some visuals from some behind the scenes stuff that we captured. It was a crazy week, was it not?
Yes.
And I thought maybe we could show some of those pictures to the folks and maybe narrate along with them, tell them where it is. So now these are not the actual campaign images. We can't show those. This is really the behind the scenes and talk about the hardships that we went through to get the pictures that they're going to see next winter.
Yeah.
Okay, Dee, you can cut to the visuals here. Now this is travel. So let's talk for a second about travel. There was probably, I think, all told, 30-something people on the job, right? So it goes back to Connie's role of getting everybody to and from. So here we're flying from Seattle to Denver, and this might actually be, this is Seattle to Denver, I believe. So we're flying over the Rocky Mountains. Let's go ahead and advance that. Remember this is scouting. That's Tom, right? Tom from Telluride. Want to tell the folks at home what we're doing right here?
We're scouting for locations, and what you can't actually tell from this photo is that it's blowing 50 to 60 mile per hour, and we're on kind of a ridge where you're fully exposed. This is a bunch of sea level folks existing at 12,000 feet. after like not much sleep from the travel.
Right, those folks being you and me.
Yes, yeah, like hey,
sucking swamp water.
And Tom's the guy who represents the mountain, great guy. Sort of Chase, you mentioned having local people help guide you through the process. Folks like him and our location scout,
Yeah, and
Tim
that's, again,
Torito.
the question I was asked was international, but this is within our own borders, and we're seeking local help.
Yeah, it's good
Timmy
to be
Torito.
part of the community.
Respect, Timmy Torito.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hit the next image if we can, D.
There's the wind.
There's Scotty enduring the wind, and I heard that it was blowing 70, and then someone reminded me, like the week after I got back, which was the end of last week, that it actually crested 100 miles an hour a few times while we're up there. Remember when the wood furniture was blowing?
Yeah, that was funny. Those are good times. We debated building some. Oh, nice. I searched for that cup today, but I couldn't find it, man.
There's a funny inside joke about that cup that I'll probably won't go into, but short version is that Jason and Scott from our team bet each other who could drink out of the same cup for longest.
I think we lasted, 2 days? But
Which
it was
is
a really
gross.
gross 2 days because you had to maintain the fruit that came originally in the cup. So that's actually coffee. It's not a refreshing beverage.
Coffee with a lime in it.
Yeah.
All right.
Next,
yeah. So again, this is some of the people on our crew. I think we're transiting from one place to another on the mountain. You can again see the voracious weather that was very, very tough.
So relating, that's a nice one too, but relating the scouting imagery to what's going on is basically we're taking our plan that we developed in the office and the ideas that we want to convey based on the strategy and meshing it with the reality of the location. And I think there were some questions that came in around, well, how do you adapt the plan you made to the reality of the location, to the talent you have, and all of these different things? This is where it's reconciled.
Yep,
So all the hard work that Bill Wardlow is the guy who put together sort of the still photo needs on this. I was responsible for the video needs. We're looking around going, okay, we're going to shoot here for this shot. We're going to shoot here for this shot. If it gets, if it continues to blow like this, we're not going to shoot anything here at all. And that's a practical, reality of this. We can shoot people shivering in the cold, but is that inspiring enough?
Right.
Kind of.
So this is a kind of preamble to us actually shooting. Go ahead and scroll again, if you would, D'Artagnan, to that's a great iPhone shot that Eric snagged. How about that?
Eric is the master of gorgeous iPhone shots.
Deadly. And this is on the way up to that epic day that we had on Wednesday, where we were capturing video and in that beautiful location, flying around with that helicopter.
Yes. Do we get to talk about that?
Would you like to talk about the helicopter for a second?
I mean, so I had looking through a couple of the questions that came in. One of the questions was, where did we first meet? And we kind of covered that, with the gauzy vision. But we also have, question on what do you bring to a shoot that, other people don't, or why do I keep, coming back for more Chase Jarvis? And part of it is a big part of it is the ability to operate at a top level in a difficult, challenging location. And I think there's a lot of people in this room here right now who can, run a camera on a Merlin while skiing backwards. That's useful. And some of these practical things of you guys can get the shot in really challenging environments that other people can't. And that speaks back to the authenticity piece of, well, you can't all of a sudden learn how to ski for a ski shoot that's happening in 3 months. You want to have people that are in it to win it and have been for a while.
Right.
And there's, I think also the creative vision on what these projects can be. You're a big thinker on this, and those are a couple of the things that it goes from the nitty gritty of being able to do it, to get to the trees and the deep, and to know what shot is going to look beautiful and how that's going to come out. To all right, let's assume we have that stuff nailed. To how big can we make this?
Great, and the how big we can make it thing. That's where I won't speak for myself in this context because that would seem kind of weird for me. But bringing vision to a project is one of the things that I'm continually working to do, and that I believe is the reason you get hired. You don't get hired because you have a finger to push a button. You get hired because you have, like you said, it's fundamental. You have to be able to ski backwards, operating a Merlin with the red or whatever. Whatever the thing is, you have to be able to do it. That's like get in the door.
Right.
But
technical skills done.
Check. But beyond that is like, what kind of creative vision are you bringing to
Yeah.
the thing? And one of the things that I was really excited that you were excited about when I brought it up was the flying helicopter rig.
Yeah.
And I think we've got something queued up that will show us, or show the folks at home,
Yeah.
the rig we were flying around with over there. We were flying a camera around with a friend of mine named Tab, and at Free Fly Cinema, and we won't show the footage that we got of the stuff that's going into the campaign,
Yeah.
but we did have some other stuff after we nailed that shot. I was walking around in snowshoes out there, so you can imagine the kind of footage we were getting. Beautiful.
That was an interesting one too, because that's another tweak. I mean, that's an innovation where, I think you truly are the first guy to say, hey, what if we bring a small helicopter, put a camera on it, and fly it above the people as they're skiing away? That conversation doesn't happen very much. So I challenge other photographers to say, what can I add? What can I bring? What can I deliver that goes beyond, great pictures, an understanding of this, that, or the other thing. There are a lot of people who know how to take great pictures, but you have to think, what's going to be the next level?
What's the next level?
What's the next level? And this is not something, it's not a feeling of entitlement. I mean, you experimented with that helicopter on your own time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you develop these contacts, and you partner with somebody like Tab and say, hey, I bet we could do some good stuff together. It's finding that next thing.
Yeah. And there's a constant. In these walls here, in the walls of our other studio, there's a constant pressure that we put on one another in a positive, competitive nature to innovate and to do interesting things. That's where things like the iPhone app and all those other things come out of, like, oh, well, let's just do this for it. Let's innovate a little bit with the helicopter, with moving the camera a certain way, with doing live photo shoots, for example. When I think of connecting with creative directors, most of the, we connect around the professional stuff, but there's also all these other things where you bump into creative directors and just being generally into a lot of creative things that are driving my personal life that influence my professional life. And I feel like we've connected a lot on that. So music is another tool that you're bringing to the table. Dialogue, if you're a writer, writing a good script is another tool you can bring to the client, even though they probably have all the writers, but you're just better at articulating why something should be one way or another.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to the pad here for a second, and there's a great question for you. Any books on creativity?
That's a great question, and I can take it in a couple of ways. One is there a book on how to be creative? Probably not. But like make your arm go like this? No. And that's not to be dismissive of the question. I mean, I thought about this one long and hard, and I think
Christian
about,
Levesque, you're not getting dissed here. This is a good
not
question.
Not at all. Because, I do have an answer. If you're in a corporate environment or you're in a big company and staying creative, there's an awesome book called Orbiting the Giant Hairball, which is all about busting out of all the process and all the daily grind to remember to be creative and to remember to push it. And that's an amazing book.
Yep.
And, but as far as staying creative, like personally and professionally, music, genius way. I was thinking about, just when you're looking around visually, being in an amazing space and surrounding yourself with people who are doing creative endeavors. One of the things I love about being on a shoot with you is the interaction in terms of photography. We're all popping up iPhone pictures of the same scene, so you have 5 or 6 really talented people kind of going, oh yeah, your picture's cool, but check out mine. And it's like, like Eric's photos.
Right.
I'm
his
like,
iPhone photos.
Damn, I got schooled. Mine looks like a person standing in an ant in a field, and his is like this totally different take on it. And you see that from a lot of the people on there. Like, Deb Tudor, one of our stylists, will come back with amazing dog portraits, and I'm like, I just walked by that whole posse of dogs, and I didn't think about shooting it. And there's just this cool, competitive, in a good way, vibe of like, let's be creative. And we come out of this, these shoots with different ideas about how to stay connected and how to maintain that. And so it's people, it's community, it's daring to put your work out there and have it be evaluated. The question about books is, the latest book I've been inspired by was a book on, I'm spacing her name right now, 1940s Mexican surrealist photographer. Love it. And Yeah, space.
Yep, space.
I think it actually might be Bravo, which is confusing, but there, just looking at the work that's been done, and I mentioned Flickr, I mentioned, 500 photographers, just seeing other people's work and seeing what they're doing
Super
is
inspiration, right? Super inspiring.
And it makes me want to get off my butt and go take more pictures, go write music, go play songs, go listen to bands, go see live shows.
Yep.
Just soak it in. And this goes back to Mike's thing, 30,000 days in a life. What are you going to do with the next one? What are you going to do with tomorrow? He doesn't even mention car accidents, and that could end it all real quick. So, get with it. Just immerse yourself in it.
That's living that creative life, I think, is more important than any book. But I think the book question's fair. Like
it is. It is.
The Art of War, or The War of Art, and Fear and Art, or Art and Fear. I forget. Those are great books as well. But again, it can be read about in books, but actually making and doing, there's nothing like it.
That's
iterating,
making and doing. Like when I think about, I have a bunch of cameras, and I shoot. Sometimes I shoot film. Sometimes I shoot with my grandfather's cameras or my mom's cameras, and it puts a technical challenge, and it makes you look at things differently. We were just talking about going out and shooting where you can only take 3 pictures, and what would those 3 pictures be?
Oh yeah.
And it's issuing those challenges to yourself, and giving yourself hardware that's different, or going down and doing a lino cut instead of photography, or try to write some haikus or write some poetry. Just
heavy.
Bam, challenge yourself.
That's right. And speaking of, you cited tools a lot there. You were talking about challenging yourself with different tools. And one of the questions that came in, I think, is more of a gear tech question. I think we should talk about. We're inside of about 6 or 7 minutes left, so I'd like to maybe do some rapid fire. If you can be sticking your head into the iPad there, I will do the same. On a shoot with a lot of moving parts, this is from Justin Chando. Who is leasee insuring the rental equipment gear? Is it CJ Inc. or is it the client? And maybe you could touch generally on your production insurance policies. That is the topic of a great blog post that Kate was working on as we speak. Generally speaking, we own and insure all our own gear, or it's rented, and that rented gear comes under our insurance policy. REI, if I'm not mistaken, every agency and or client that I work directly with has insurance, and it protects the shoot. You can also get shoot-specific insurance, and all the rest of those details are going to come out in Kate's blog post. So, why don't you fire off one, Jen?
Okay. There were a lot of questions around. Let's see. My question is, on the day you and the producers called not shooting, the weather broke in the afternoon. Any lessons learned? Is there a way to respond to near real-time weather changes on a large production?
We get smoked on one day.
Yeah, we get. We had a lot of years of experience. Everybody, guiding us on that. You make the call, and I think the most important thing there is we regrouped in the evening when it was all sunny, and we all locked eyes, and we said, we are going to make this happen. We have 2.5 days left in this shoot. We are going to do what we need to connect and to get. If there's a weather window, we will be shooting.
We will be standing
period.
in it. Yep.
Period. We will be there.
So we committed. We were up there starting at 5 a.m. and stayed there till after dark every day until we got it. And lo and behold,
we got it.
We got it.
In the last 4 hours, and then we rallied to the airport.
You read the blog post for sure.
And I just want to say that was commitment from my part in terms of REI's financial resources, commitment on Chase's part, getting there and getting the shot. It was a coordinated effort.
It was indeed.
Hit me up with one.
Let's keep ripping here. I know how brutal Colorado weather can be on equipment. How did the D7000 hold up? Great, and that goes beyond just the D7000. It goes into all of the gear. This is professional quality equipment. It's not designed, it's not preferred to be in that weather type, but these are sealed cameras. They function in incredibly low temperatures and high temperatures. It's professional equipment. Your equipment's probably not going to function like that unless it's at that pro grade. So we were in harsh weather. Let me see here. What techniques do you use this is from Peter Gallagher, what techniques do you use to communicate to the talent and crew before the shoot? Storyboards, right?
Storyboards.
Shot lists.
Shot list, detailed.
Very detailed shot lists. We've got it.
We know what we're trying to get. We hope we get other stuff. but we focus on those things.
Yeah, prioritize the things you know you got to get, and then if there's room to get other stuff, you do it.
Here's one from Ralph. Jason, I've always been curious if an art director viewing a photographer's portfolio would rather see a jack of all trades with a particular style or a photographer that specializes in one thing, i.e. portraiture. And really what I would like to see, I think this is probably a universally felt question.
Right.
I would like to see people who are showing me work that demonstrates that they're technically proficient, they slay it, they're creative, but then I would also like to see a tailored little bit that says, hi, I know what you're trying to do with your brand. Here's how I think I could help. Here's a story I told. Here's a set of images that I think would resonate with your world.
Beautiful. That is great advice.
Email it. I mean, don't email it to me now because that's not the way to get through. But send it online
right.
or in a fancy bound thing. I don't care. I'm a new school. Like, send me pixels. So.
Before he invites sending the wave of people upon himself,
Yeah.
I got a couple of things I have not yet taken a picture of you, my friend, on the
right
set
on.
today, and this is something I do. Boom.
You want
Pose it
serious?
up.
Yeah. What's up? What's up, internets?
What's up, internet? And when I shoot these pictures, it makes me want to thank Polaroid very, very much for supporting. We're in creative collaboration in and around Chase Jarvis Live. Thank you guys so much for backing what it is that we're doing. And I'm excited about all of the products that your heritage and what you've got coming up for us very soon. Very excited about that. Also, B&H, thank you so much, B&H, for backing us. We got a lot of gear that's required, a lot of technical broadcast gear to pull this stuff off. I like thanking them. Mike Horn.
Dude.
Respect, my brother. Boom, respect. Love it so much. Thank you guys. I'm looking forward to hanging out. And I got to tell that world out there, we're actually cooking up another thingy. So.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then closing words from you, friend. What's you want to drop any wisdom on
I
the
loved
people?
what you said. Ignore questions about lenses. Well, you didn't say this. I'm paraphrasing. Camera bodies, this, that, the other thing, and just go make tons and tons of pictures. Be brutal in your edit. Destroy the ones that you don't ever want to see again, and take lots of pictures, man. That's it.
Be creative.
Be creative.
Last question I'm going to leave you with, and it should be a yes or no. When I'm out there making things that aren't commercial,
Yeah.
Are you paying attention? Do you pay attention to my songs for eating and drinking and the Seattle 100 project?
100%. Yes.
It actually gives you a lot of insight. So you folks at home, take that to heart. Make stuff that matters to you. Don't just noodle your commercial portfolio. And with that, I think we need to wrap it up.
Sweet.
I have had a great time. It's been an honor having you on the show, buddy. I know the people at home got a lot of great information. More questions I'll answer in the next show. If I have left anything out, I will try and get to it online. And until the next time, thank you very, very much. Again, mad respect to REI for having Jason come on the show. If we can cross-pollinate our audiences, that would be lovely. Pay attention to what they're doing. And thanks for everyone for tuning in. I had a great time. Hope you did too.
Thank you for joining us at Chase Jarvis Live. To interact with the full broadcast of the show, you've got to watch it live. To find out about the next broadcast, follow ChaseJarvis.com/blog. Get connected, get involved. Shouts to Victor Shea for providing the music you're hearing right now. I'm Tilson. Till next time, make a wish.